With this movie, we look at the advanced capabilities of the style palette. We'll build some custom styles that we can apply to other shapes. We can just create some really cool looks. But we also want to look at some of the other features built into the style palette that you don't see on first look and why they are there, because it's not immediately apparent unless you've been doing some animation for a while. I have a basic vector layer that I named Base Shapes. We have obviously a square, circle, and star on here. To get to the advanced level of the Styles palette, just click on the Advanced tab in the lower left-hand corner of the Style palette interface. When you do that, the palette expands, and we get some options we haven't had before. If this compresses your layers area and you need to work with it, come up to the window and choose Style. This will detach that palette and allow it to free float around your scene, even off to another monitor if you happen to have a larger area or something like that. Now, we've got an option here called Shapes. This is important because when you are working on a specific layer, for example, if we were building hair that would go above a face layer, we would probably want to name some of those shapes if it's complex hair. And by complex hair, I mean several hair groups overlapping each other on the same layer. And the same layer is important. I'll show you why. When we come down to Fill, I can go ahead and highlight that object. We notice that now this shape box is active, so I'll go ahead and type in square. I'll select a new shape and we'll call this one circle. And then finally, we're going to have star. This gives us the ability now, with all the shapes deselected, that I can come in and choose them very specifically without even having to click or use any of the depth sorting that we looked at with a single layer in another movie. I can say, hey, I just want to select the circle. This could be hair group 2. Now, the nice thing about this is that when you add another vector layer, for example, if we were going to have head underneath or a face, how about face? With the face layer highlighted, I come up here, you'll notice there's no shapes to select. But if I come down to the base shapes, which could be the hair, well, notice now when I click on that, all my shapes are available. So really important thing to work with there. The other options that we have to work with are styles. With the advanced area disclosed, you can now create styles if you want to. So let me go ahead and highlight a shape here. With that selected, I'm going to say, I want a new style. We now have the interface here. Instead of style 1, I'll name this star style. Now here's the thing. We can change the colors of the stroke. We can enable or turn off colors if we want to. And what I'll do on this, let's concentrate on an outside stroke here. So for star style, I'm going to turn off the fill and say, you know what, don't want that. The stroke, I want to be something like, oh, let's make this blue. And choose OK. Now with that done, I'm going to increase, say, the width of that to something like 15. And let's give it a brush stroke, something that looks, well, it's got little stars going around it. That's kind of hard to see. But I'll choose OK there. And we'll increase this instead to something like 30. So now we get these little stars right now occurring on all the points as it goes around. And if we want to add a special effect to that, we could go ahead and make those stars not quite as crisp. We can go with soft edge. I'll choose something like 4 here and choose OK. Now remember, the soft edge is a render time effect, which means that you can't see it until you do a render. So let's do a quick render, preview render, and we see these soft little stars right here. So this is looking about the way we want it. This is star style. With that done, we can go ahead and say, OK, we're done here. Now, if I come over and click on another object like the circle over here, and let's say I want to change the interior of this to red, but now I can actually apply a style to this that we just set up, the star style. To do that, I come down and say the first style I want to apply to that is going to be star style. And when I do that, it immediately updates just the border, not the contents, because I disabled the fill on star style. When we come to render time and do a preview render, we'll now see our base shape where I created or authored that style, and then the shape that we applied it to. Now this can get as detailed and as sophisticated as you want by adding different styles, overlapping them together. Really nice way to create a sense of depth to characters and objects. So with these styles in here, they can be called, applied, copied onto any shapes that you want. And the nice thing is that at some point, if we come back to the star style and say, you know what, for the stars themselves, I don't want them blue. I want them instead to be something more like orange or yellow. Actually, let's make it something we can see, like green. It updates every instance of that automatically. Fantastic time-saving tool working with the Advanced Styles palette inside of Anime Studio Pro.